You're watching SchreckTeck, where tech is Shrekky. This show is sponsored by Synapse 3DI at www.synapse3di.com and by Relate Corporation at www.relate.com.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 3 of SchreckTeck. My name is Rick Zanotti, and I am joined today, as always, by a very special person. I call her the girl with the golden hair. She is joining us today from Colorado, and we have some special music for her to introduce her.
What is that?
Gina Schreck.
What is that? Man, I feel like I'm going into battle. I better be ready. I've got my armor. I've got my tools, my weapons.
That was our hamster orchestra doing the Odyssey.
That is classic.
I figured you'd like that.
Classic. The hamsters are working hard this morning.
They are working hard.
We are ready to roll. And, you know, Rick, we keep talking about taking care of ourselves, and you're doing your, 4-hour body and drinking muscle milk. Me, I haven't learned. I'm still drinking just Rockstar and caffeine. So we're fully amped. We're ready to go.
We are amped. So tell me, what's new, Gina?
Well, we had the big unconference this past weekend. So for the National Speakers Association, that I was the co-chair with my buddy and now BFF, Neen James. We put on this conference, and it was awesome. And we used a lot of fun technology tools, and that's one of the things we're going to talk about with social media. We really did use social media to put this conference together, used a couple technology tools to do the whole thing. So it was really fun to finally see it come to fruition. So it was exhausting, though. I mean, you're amped and on really about 20 hours a day. We slept about 4 hours each night. So, yeah, it was great. And I have to tell you one thing. I'm not a big game player, but on my plane ride home, I was so exhausted. I put my laptop in the overhead, which I never do. And I sat down, and then I just was like, well, what do I do? What does a person do that's not working on a plane? And so I took out my phone and played Angry Birds for the first time. For the first time. I've never played Angry Birds. I've had it on my iPad forever and on my phone, but my kids always play it. And just as I thought I would, I became addicted to Angry Birds.
It's very easy to get addicted to Angry Birds. I was the same way. I'm not going to touch Angry Birds. I have no interest. And then I started watching Leo Laporte, and and he started saying, it's addicting. I said, it can't be. I have no interest. I could care less about shooting birds around.
Right. Now,
it is addicting. I think I've gone through about 60 levels already. So maybe 80. Yeah.
Wow.
I've gone through the end, and now I have the new set of 20 levels or whatever. It's fun. It's actually a lot of fun, and it kind of keeps you going. The real important part is once you really suck at it, then you get an offer for 99 cents to get the Mighty or Screaming Eagle or whatever it is, and that destroys everything in sight. No skill necessary. But you have to wait 1 hour on each level till the bird shows up.
1 hour meaning you have to play for an hour?
Well, at least leave your phone or whatever, your iPad around, and an hour later the mighty bird shows up. Kills everything.
Gosh.
Makes life easy.
Back into the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was afraid of that. And we have like the seasonal Angry Birds as well. So we had the Valentine's version. We had the Christmas version.
Yep.
I'm sure soon we'll get either St. Patrick's Day or Easter Angry Birds throwing Easter eggs or something.
Yep.
Yeah, we've got all that. I've just never played it. So now
my wife, who doesn't play any games whatsoever, one night picked up her Android, started playing with Angry Birds, and now I catch her at night 11 o'clock at night, she's over there under the covers.
Yeah.
And it's addicting.
It was addicting.
It's a good game.
That's how I spent my 3-hour flight back to Denver from Atlanta.
It beats actually just sitting on a plane watching other people playing Angry Birds.
Yeah. Well, and it was a little, some flights, you have the pediatric flight, which I had on my way out with, I think I counted 5 kids on leashes and 12 strollers, and I sat next to, and
I firmly believe on a plane, kids should be duct taped. That's probably a good thing.
That, and speaking of, I've got my duct tape. I should have brought that. I could have tied them to their seats. That's a smart. I'm packing this.
Well, I'm not talking seats. I'm saying gagging them. Muffles the screams.
All those letters go to Rick Zanotti.
That's right. PETA can complain about that.
Yeah, PETA. The monkey.
You're savage children who are not behaved on an airplane. Yes.
Yeah. So that's it was a fun weekend, and you chilled and relaxed, huh?
We chilled and relaxed. Didn't do much.
Very nice. Yeah, I came home exhausted. My husband was sick, and I fell down the stairs. I was so tired. I was trying to carry my suitcase down and put stuff away. Fell down our stairs. So, I'm sitting a little sore this morning.
That's not good.
Yeah. Yeah, I tell ya. Fun stuff.
Anyway, for those of you who are in the chat room, Gina, how's the chat room doing?
The chat room with Pirate Landy Dave and Terrence and Lily. Yeah, let's see. No questions, no chatter. Any Angry Bird fans? Anybody else playing Angry Birds like crazy? Yeah, Dave, it's now, I'm sorry, Pirate Dave. And on Facebook, Dave, you can change your Facebook language to English Pirate.
English Pirate.
It is the most fun thing ever to do.
Arg, matey.
It is so funny. It's instead of events, you have grog fests, and instead of messages, you have message in a bottles. It's really funny. And you go into your settings and change the language to pirate language. No one else sees it. So when you send out stuff, they don't see it, but it's everything you're reading. So I always do that in September when it's Talk Like a Pirate Day. So Dave, we might have to do that in honor of you today. Everyone change their pirate settings.
Well, there's our music to tell us it is time to move on to doing social media right.
Yeah, I'm gonna share a couple things that we used, tech tools that we use to coordinate this entire conference. When you're working with teams that are geographically dispersed, you need to really find good collaborative tools. And we've talked about this before, and today it'll come into play a little more when we talk about backups and things. But we use Dropbox as our primary tool to put this whole conference together. And we probably had 118 documents by the end in this Dropbox folder over the year that we planned this. And it really was a great tool. And then we used Twitter over email because we found that we could just get quick responses. Both of us were on Twitter, and it was a really interesting way to communicate. And then we did a Skype video call about once a week, and just to plan things. And we went to town and put the whole conference together using those 3 tools, Twitter, Dropbox, and Skype. And then at the conference, we used Foursquare for a learning game, but really to drive attendees to the conference or to the exhibitor booths. One lesson learned was, if you don't hold a webinar or some sort of training event for the vendors that are doing the exhibits, they really didn't get the whole thing. So it was an interesting lessons learned. But I think when you're doing social media as part of an event, when you're using these social media tools, you really have to prep people and think ahead to do some education around that, because it really could have been so much more powerful, because we had tips that we had planned into each location. And the tips were, take a picture with someone you've never met, and then tell them one thing about the vendor that you're checking in, where you're checking in. Teach them something about that vendor. So we thought this would be a great way to allow people to learn about the suppliers that were there, where it just fell flat, where some of the vendors just didn't get it, how to use it, didn't know how to answer questions. So, that's an interesting dilemma I think people have around using these tools. And Rick, you and I talk about this. You have to play with technology, I think, a lot in order for you to see how to use it in your world. Some of us, are in the learning environment. Some have small businesses. Some have a small business that they work from their home. So they're saying, how would I use this? I don't get it. How would I use this for my business? I work from home. Play with these tools and you'll find ways that it really does make sense for you to use. QR codes, I wore my QR code shirt because we did a lot with QR codes as well. Instead of handouts, we had QR codes that people scanned. And then
I think we're getting a little bit of static from Skype today.
Oh, are you hearing static?
A little bit of noise when you're talking. Just
that is weird, and I'm not hearing it. So you just never know. Skype will do. But so I think with any of these fairly new technology tools, they may not even be new to some of us because we've been talking about them for a year or so. Location-based tools, QR codes. I still think they're so fascinating, and people still don't really know how to use them. One thing that we did right at this conference, just to kind of brag a little bit about one thing we did social right, was we set up a bar, almost like a counter, the doctor is in type thing. It had a little glowing sign, and it was called the Kia bar, Kia, because we want to do a play off of Apple's Genius bar. And we thought, okay, we can't use Genius bar, so let's use Know-It-All bar. So we had the Know-It-All bar, and the Kia is what we called it. We had people taking shifts, answering questions like, how do I download this app? Where do I find a scanner on my phone? How do I load Foursquare? So the Kia bar was staffed with people that could help one-on-one or in small groups. So I think if we're putting on conferences or if we're speaking at conferences, we should suggest things like that to help people use the tools that we're trying to get them to use in the conference.
Yeah, that's a real good idea. And Dropbox is awesome. We use it internally. We use it. We're even starting to use it for projects where you have certain tools like Articulate, which you can't really work off the network, so we just put it into a Dropbox. Got that advice from Dave Anderson at Articulate,
awesome.
And it's a great tool. We use it for a lot of stuff. We have quite a few people offsite working, so now we can coordinate documents and everything. So not only good for trade shows, good for everything. It's a great tool.
We have one. Everyone in our office has access to our Synapse shared file, and then Neen and I had access, the two of us, to the unconference file. And it was interesting. This came up at the conference. One of the speakers, he misunderstood something in the instructions. He thought he didn't need to bring his laptop, which I can't even imagine going without my laptop. But he thought we were providing laptops in the rooms. So he shows up. I just opened up my laptop, but because he used Dropbox, his presentation was in Dropbox. He logs in, pulls his presentation open on my laptop. Boom, ready to go. So, I used to actually put any presentation on a disk, on a jump drive, on my computer, all over. Now, if you save it in Dropbox, you can access it from anywhere.
Yeah, it's not a bad way to go.
Right. That's a really good backup. So I think that, when we start talking about backup services, that is a tool we more and more. My daughter, who's 14, Shrecklet, I now created a Dropbox folder for her, because I said, I'm not coming to your school anymore if you forget your papers. Save it in Dropbox, because you can always go in the library at school, open up the file, and pull it down.
It wouldn't be great if you could put your kid in Dropbox and they just wind up in school?
Transport to school.
Boy, that would be great.
That would save me a lot of time. Although she's getting ready to do driver's ed. Woo!
Well, it's that rock music time to move on to one of your favorite segments.
Shiny objects. Shiny objects. And the objects I have today really aren't, well, they could be shiny. One of them, because I'm kind of still in that whole conference mode, and this is great for anyone who has meetings, speaks at conferences, has meetings that people go too long. But this remote is not new. I've had this for a long time. It's just a little Logitech presentation remote. But I used it this weekend. I actually had other people use it because I didn't speak at this conference. But it has a timer in it. You set the timer. And then when there's 5 minutes left, it vibrates in your hand. So it turns your slides and does all the normal presentation remote tasks. But it vibrates when you have 5 minutes left, and then it has a long vibrate when your time is up.
And it doesn't explode, right?
Well, I said the only thing that would make it better is if at the end of your time it had some sort of shock collar effect that then the speaker would have to stop talking. But Logitech, this was just a great tool, really good for meetings to keep them on task. I just think that's one of our biggest problems in corporate America is meetings that go too long and presentations where you show up with 30 minutes and then they tell you, oh, now all we have time for is 10 minutes. So I think that's one of my favorite shiny objects.
That's a great idea, too, because I never thought of one having a timer. Because usually when you're talking, time flies. And unless somebody's kind of keeping an eye on you or anybody else, it's real easy to keep going.
Or you're looking at your watch, which then people know you're looking at your watch. But this, it's built into the handheld. So you just look down at your remote real discreetly, and it tells you how much time you have left. So
that sounds great.
I love this one.
What's the model number on that one?
Oh, let's see. You're going to make me put on my glasses here. Logitech. It is so tiny, I don't even see it. Let's see.
It's called marketing.
I know. Isn't that weird? I don't know. Here it is. The model R-R001. That doesn't sound right.
Isn't that intuitive?
Yeah. It is a Logitech. It's the only presentation remote that Logitech had. I bought this one, I think, at Best Buy or Staples.
That's a good deal.
Yeah, and it was like $40. These are so cheap now. But I think everybody should have one with a timer. And then again, if you can somehow rig up some electrode. But my other shiny object that I have to share, because everybody that sees it asks me, did you make this? Or how did you get this? Did you turn a wine or a 6-pack cooler into a gadget keeper? I carry so many little gadgets around, all my shiny objects. This is one of those Built. The company is called Built and B-U-I-L-T. B-U-I-L-T. And it's, those neoprene bags. But this one has 6 little divided pockets. So you can put your camera, your flip cams, you can put your phone in here. I like it for cords. So I keep my earphones in one of the pockets, maybe an adapter, an extra adapter, USB. But keeps them nice and neat, it's really flat. And this is a great gadget keeper for throwing in whether it's in your briefcase, whether it's in your suitcase, but a really good shiny object keeper.
Is it a little microfiber thing?
It is. It's a neoprene, like
neoprene.
a wetsuit.
Mm-hmm.
So it's padded to protect everything and yet not bulky. And it comes in really cool colors. Of course, I have Shrek green, but it comes in designs. And again, I got that one at Staples. So usually at office supply stores, they have them, but you can also go online and order them. They're the Built bags. And I want to say it's Built New York is the actual.
It probably is.
Yeah. But yeah, that's my shiny object. Do you have any
I actually have one little shiny object today, and this is went to get some batteries at a place called Battery Plus. Great little store, which they have flashlights.
What?
And you can't have enough flashlights. And what I'm showing you here is a Nebo
like MacGyver
tactical flashlight. This thing is beautiful. I'm hitting the mic with it. But anyway, here is the flashlight.
Only a true geek would say a flashlight is beautiful.
So you can turn it on. It's not just big. It's very bright, as you could tell. This blocks out everything. This is 220 lumens on a little flashlight. 3 hours of continuous use. And if you click a little button, it makes it lighter. You click it again, it goes even lighter. And then you have an SOS signal. If Gina ever gets out of line, you see this going on, you know I'm in trouble. And then it has one more, which is you're rapid. Gina's really in trouble. Here we go. And then it goes back to our regular. But this is only about $24, a beautiful LED flashlight that will blind anyone. And by the way, if you're into guns or shooting, or you just like guns or weapons, Nebo also makes what they call the Protect model, the same exact flashlight, but it goes under the gun and you can attach it and do all sorts of fun things with it. Blind any intruder that goes into your house.
Wait, you went from hunting to intruders in the house.
That's right.
That's kind of scaring me now.
That's right. No.
Where do you live?
Actually, we live in a nice area.
But
cool. You never know.
You
can get an errant, kid or something.
And you can keep your flashlight in your gadget bag.
That's right.
There you go.
That's
all
right.
just goes together.
Or buy the handy. This thing comes with a handy holster that you can buy too, so you can look like Home Improvement guy.
Okay, don't wear it. I'm just going to give guys a tip here. Don't wear your tools on your belt. I was in a store the other day, and a guy had a big measuring tape attached to his belt buckle. Okay, if you're in Home Depot, that makes sense. He was in See's Candy. Didn't make sense.
You want to measure those little, almond, huh? The almond is not quite 1 inch long. This is a bad almond.
A 1 by 1 square of chocolate.
Interesting.
Larry in the chat room just said, I just read this. He has a Microsoft Presenter, another vibrating presentation. What am I trying to say? Presentation.
Mouse controller.
No.
Clicker. Presentation controller. Remote.
Oh, I need more Rockstar right here. Okay, but he has the Microsoft Presenter 3000 that also has a vibrating timer.
Ah, okay.
Larry.
So there's two choices.
Yeah, well, and there's probably a lot more out there, but look for one that has more than just your, slide advancement buttons, because I think those type of little features really can make a big difference in your.
I like the one that has the taser for the bad audience member.
Yeah. Well, now see, if you give someone in your audience the flashlight, they can then blind you when you are.
That's right.
I just thought of something. Those little lasers that people use to
those
point
are bad.
that are so tiny no one can see it anyway.
Right.
Use the flashlight.
That's true. You could just use a flashlight like this. When the audience gets out of control or completely unfocused, you just point it at them.
And just blind them.
Yeah. Or put on SOS and they'll come and take them away.
And that's good for pirates, Captain Dave.
Arg. All righty.
Fun, shiny objects.
And now it's time for App on the Map. So, Gina, what kind of apps do you have today?
Okay, I always have too many apps, but I'm always looking for one that's really practical, that we can do business and really helps us do business. And now my goal has been to blog twice a week, minimum. And I did really well for a while until the last 2 weeks before this conference. I kind of just tanked. So I started thinking, where do I spend so much of my time? In my car. And I get asked a lot about dictation apps and, which ones work best. I have on my iPad the Dragon Dictation. And it dawned on me a week ago, why am I not using my drive time to blog through a dictation tool? So I downloaded this app, and as I was driving, I turn it on and I just speak. So I do look like a crazy person in my car because there's no phone nearby. But I speak my blog post into this dictation app. And you know what? It's really great. I had used Dragon a couple years ago, and it was okay, but it's really improved. So it's on the iPad. I believe it's also available it's not on Android, because I did want it on my phone, but I have another Google translation app on my phone. And I started thinking we should be using these type of tools to maximize our time. And that one, I've already got 2 posts ready to go. All I have to do is edit.
So how accurate is it?
Really good. I mean, it was really accurate. There were just a few places where I paused and then either repeated a word or something. You go in and you clean it up. But really accurate. I mean, I was surprised. I did make sure that I spoke a little slower than normal and, real concise and articulate. So if you just really make sure your language is crisp, it was really great. I mean, almost near perfect. Few little places I had to clean up. That's it.
I guess the only problem with that in a car would be if you hit a bump or anything like that,
Yeah.
and you're talking, and all of a sudden you'll go.
Well, and that is another tip, is if you have a headset that you can put one earbud in, because obviously it's illegal to have 2 while you're driving. Put one in that has the little mic on it, and
Even better.
Yeah, and that might actually help you. But even in my car with the sound, it didn't take away from the accuracy. So I was really pleased with that app, Dragon Dictation, on the iPad. Great app, and again, lots of fun. And then, of course, my other one was the Angry Birds, because I've never played it. And I was
You don't do that while you're driving, right?
No. Although, no, I would never. But I do want to show you one that I use a lot. And I used it over the holidays, called M Gifts. And M Gifts by M7 Software is a great app. I was looking for something, which is what I love about apps. I think someone in Larry's class the first week asked this question is, where do we see the future of apps? I think the first year, 2009, 2010, everybody heard the term, there's an app for that. Now in 2011, what I see happening is we have a problem. We immediately think, I bet there's an app for that. There's probably an app that solves that. And my problem over the holidays was I really wished I had in the past, a card, almost like a diary of who I send Christmas cards to. And then I put a little tick mark. Did I send the card to them? And each year I would, keep track of that, had their address and everything. And so I started looking for an app for something like that. Then I also was thinking, I keep track of gift ideas for people for over the year. So not just for Christmas, but for birthdays, for, anniversaries, for my parents' anniversaries. So this M Gifts, what I love is you can go in and put ideas you have for gift and the date. And then it also, you can put, if you see something at a store, you say, oh, this would be great for, Kirk's birthday in June. So I can put that in here. And it has so many cool automated pieces to it that it can remind you. You can put what store you saw it at, and it'll search for that item and show you the price. Really cool app for kind of home management, which I have to say usually falls on women in the house. So
yeah, because I know in my case, my idea of a gift is gift card.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah.
Easy.
No.
I give myself a gift card all the time. In fact, I gave my wife a gift card from me on her birthday. It was great. Wait,
you gave her a gift card, like to one of her favorite stores?
No, to one of my favorite stores.
Okay, that's what I thought I heard, but I went.
I'm only kidding, right. Sort of.
You clipped out something out of a newspaper.
That's
Here,
right.
I saw this. It's
here,
on
honey,
sale.
here's an iTunes gift certificate. I don't use iTunes, but I do. Oh, I'll take it for you.
Yeah. And here's one for Amazon. And here's
That's
one
right.
for.
And she's not a shopper, so whatever gift card I give her usually winds up in my. It's great.
Yeah, that is pretty funny. Let's see. Dragon doesn't really appreciate the ARG. Oh, yeah, Dave. Pirate Talk may not work in the dictation program. So that is.
Dragon, after all these years, has still not figured out an ARG. I don't know what to do with those guys.
Yeah, I don't know. That is kind of interesting.
That's basic pirate. It should always have basic pirate in there. ARG, matey.
Yeah, lots of comments in the chat room about don't dictate while drunk and don't
drunk while dictating. That's another one.
Don't drunk while dictating but yeah, I think with a Bluetooth, I would assume that would work as well, as long as it's plugged into your if you're using your iPad or your phone.
Now it's interesting. Do you find now? I found this out when I tried using dictation years ago. This is probably about 3-4 years ago. I found it slowed me down. I had to articulate to the point where I'm thinking way faster than what's coming out of my mouth, and as a result, I could type faster than I could dictate in terms of putting the thoughts together. I think that's the real key. When you're creating something, I guess a blog is a little bit different, but if you're trying to write, it's not that easy to use one of these tools because the thought process is a little bit different.
And some people can type faster than they can speak.
True.
Articulately.
Oh, I can type 150 words a minute and be just as inarticulate as Dragon, naturally speaking, when it's over.
Although I hear the opposite from some people saying, I sit down to write and I just can't get anything on paper. So, find what works for you, but don't let that stop you. Don't let the fact that you're not at your computer stop you from getting some writing done.
Yep. Now you've got a couple of other apps on the map, I think.
I've got so many, and now I'm trying to remember one of them that I wanted to show you. Oh, one is Beluga I downloaded. And this, I got a question from a woman who said she wanted to do text messaging on her phone, but she didn't want to have to pay for her whole family to have text plan. So there are a couple apps that you can download on your phones, both Android, iPhone, and both. There's my ability to count on all three, BlackBerry, any smartphone. Let's just make it easier on my brain this morning. But there's a couple apps that I've tested and really like, and one is called Text Plus. and one is called Beluga, like the white whale, Beluga. I liked Beluga better because it looked prettier, more clean layout. Text Plus had, you can pay for Text Plus and not have the ads, but the free version had these little ads that popped up. But what these apps are is it allows you to send text messages for free without using a data plan. So you're not using a text plan. And I put it on my iPad to test it. So it's on my phone, my iPad. So let's say that I'm somewhere, my phone, I left it upstairs. I can actually send a text message to my daughter's phone on this app. So pretty cool.
And it works across any of the networks, no problem.
It does. You can send it to a phone. You can send it to an email. You can send it to somebody else's Beluga. If you put them in your group, so you can create almost your little address book in these text services, and then you can send it to the person right there, or you can send it to them and they're outside of the network.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that Apple did not put in a texting application on the iPad.
Right.
Tacky.
I mean, it's interesting.
Tacky Apple.
I thought, what a great way to just shoot a quick message. You know, like we use Twitter for that if it's somebody on Twitter, but you can send it via text and you're not paying for the text plan. So I thought that was really good. Or you can switch to T-Mobile and get the family text plan for $10 a month, unlimited text. We should be getting paid.
That's not
right
a bad
now.
deal. That's right. This show is sponsored by everybody. Now pay up.
Exactly. Send checks too. And so, yeah, those two apps I really like. And then there was another one that I was playing with because I love Flipboard. And we've talked about Flipboard. It's customizing your own magazine and allowing you to pull content in to a magazine format to use for reading. And I try and just read as much as I can, different things going on in the tech world. And so Flipboard is one of my favorite. I found another one called Flood, F-L-U-D. Flood?
Flood, yeah.
Looks like Flood. Same thing. It's an app. It's free. And it allows you to choose categories. And in the categories, I can... Did I just closed it? Oh, there it is. So you open Flood and you've got all these different categories, whether it's Gizmodo, whether it's Wired, Fast Company. Again, you kind of pick your favorites and then create your own magazine, and then it customizes it. Again, I'm in the technology genre. You can go to creative, you can go to politics and world, business, service. So if you're really wanting to do some reading on the go, I think these apps are so helpful because it aggregates the content for you and allows you in a nice visual way to flip through them and see what's going on.
Yeah, and you can't downplay the usefulness of that because it is a lot of work to try to get 40 different news sources at any one point.
Right.
These things do it for you, which is nice.
Right. And, think back. I mean, I remember my early days in business. I would read. I'd get all these magazine subscriptions. You'd have a stack of magazines and newspapers and the Business Journal, and you just tried to stay up on everything, and it was really hard. And I can remember clipping articles to read later, putting them in a file. Now you can just, and of course I use Instapaper. And so while I'm reading something, if it's too long of a post and I really want to read it later, I put it in my Instapaper, which is another app, and read it later. So I can do that while I'm waiting in the car. You could tell I live in the car.
I guess I use Evernote for the same thing. Instapaper, is that like an Evernote type thing?
It is. It's just stripped down. It's so if I'm reading a blog post and I want to read it later, I click on any of my screens. So whether it's on my PC, my laptop, my iPad, I can say read later because I've added that to my browser, and then it puts it in the Instapaper in the cloud. So later when I open it, what it does is it strips down takes out all the ads, takes out all the visuals, and you're just reading the text.
That's good.
Yeah, so that's cool too.
Uh-oh. It's time for that special moment of the day.
Oh, that's right. Our daily dilemma. I had this, and this
Dear Shrek.
This is one that we touched on last week. So I got to find my little oh, here we go. They're right in front of me. But because I didn't have them on, I have to put my glasses on to read Dear Shrek. And this one has to do with Facebook and the business pages that we've all created and that we work so hard. So, dear Schreck, I've spent hours building my page, weeks adding photos and interesting content, and months trying to connect with people. But I feel like people don't even see my content that gets sent out. Help. And that is a dilemma. Business pages on Facebook, there's a couple interesting things that we need to understand. They do go out and they get mixed into the news feed on Facebook. So if I'm connected to your page, I log into Facebook, I'm seeing your page content mixed in with everything else. So if you sent it out at 10 a.m. and it's now noon, I'm probably not going to see it. But what I learned a couple weeks ago shocked me and really is a problem for business pages and the admins on business pages. Facebook has a default setting that needs to be changed, and I wish we could just get a message to everyone in the world to change this setting, because the default setting is you as a Facebook profile person, when you log in, you will only see content from people that you regularly interact with. So if I'm connected with, let's say, 1,000 people on Facebook, I'm really only seeing the posts from those that I regularly interact with. Now, how they determine that, the algorithm is if you're reading their content, you're interacting by liking or commenting on it, then you will see their content next time. If I have someone I never engage with, I just read their stuff as it goes by, it starts falling off. It doesn't show up in my news feed. So if you go to your home page on your profile and scroll all the way to the bottom, there is a setting, and it's the same setting where you can hide somebody. Like you don't want to see someone's updates anymore and you hide their updates. You go to the very bottom under options, edit settings, and you can bring that person back, if that makes sense to you. But same thing. There is a setting that says the default is only view those I regularly interact with or view everyone. And if you view everyone, it then brings all that news feed. Now, some people say, I don't want that. I want only from those I regularly interact with. The problem is for those who are managing a business page on Facebook, you're working hard sending out your content. Unless you can get fans to engage with you through comments or likes, they're probably not even seeing your posts. So you've got to be strategic in how you get people to engage on your pages, which means when you're posting on Facebook, from a business perspective, ask more questions. Don't just broadcast what's going on, but really get people to engage by asking a question or posting something maybe controversial and asking for comments on it. Because once they comment or participate in that discussion, even liking it, it will show up in their feed. So people that say, gosh, I don't even think people read my stuff because I get no comments on it. That's why.
And the other thing is there are so many blogs. There are so many people on Facebook that it's hard to keep track of everybody.
It is. Well, and I put people in lists. So I have, when I connect with someone on Facebook, I immediately add them to a list. And I have my list. I probably have, maybe 18, 19. Well, no, I have more than that because I have a list for every state. So if I know they live in Colorado, I put them in the Colorado list. If I know that they are involved in the learning community, I also have a list for the learning community. If I know that they're a professional speaker, I put them in speaker categories. I put different categories based on where I see lots of groupings of people. The reason is when I want to read content, and I have a list, by the way, for my family. So anyone in my family on Facebook is in my family list. So when I log into Facebook, if I only want to see what's going on with my family members, I can go up where it has your news feed and your most recent, those two. If you click on, there's a drop down arrow, I can say, show me just family members list. And I'll see just the news feed from my family. If I want to see what's going on with my clients, because I have a list for clients, I can click on clients. So by using lists strategically, you can read the content you want to read when you want to read it. And that's really been helpful. And I have favorite pages. So favorite business pages that I'm following on Facebook, I never see their content come across. But if I go up and say, show me right now just the feeds, the stream from my favorite business pages, it'll be there.
That's really good advice.
And that saves time.
Well, Gina, show number 3, that's a wrap.
I stayed awake.
You stayed awake. You did great. And that's our music telling us it is time to call this show a show. So this show is going to be up on YouTube/SchreckTeck, probably within the next hour or so. And then it will be up. Actually, now that we have 3 shows, we're going to put them up on Podbean, so you'll have 3 to go to right away. So you'll be seeing that by tomorrow.
Yay!
So more sources to get your Gina from.
You just can't find me in too many places.
Just can't get enough of Gina, right?
Coming to Walmart soon.
Oops.
There we go.
Yep. All right, everybody. Thank you very much for being in the chat room and for joining us live. And we will see you next Tuesday on SchreckTeck. See you next time. Bye, Gina.
Have a great week.